Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com, how to make an easy butcher's block cutting board. Now, cutting boards are a pretty simple project, but you can get some great results. These make great gifts and really a great addition to almost any kitchen. They can be made square or rectangle, or you can cut them into any shape, or you could even make a butcher's block countertop using the same general process. For today's video, we're going to make a very simple cutting board. And what I mean by that is we're going to start with a waterproof, food-safe glue. We're going to start with some simple pipe clamps, which are adjustable in size based on the length of the pipe that you get. And we're going to use pre-cut wood. Now, this wood's not cut to length, of course, but I went to Home Depot and I bought wood that was standard 1x2 in size. The only wood that they had was a red oak and also a poplar. So I made two different cutting boards. On one, I used the contrast and the white poplar mixed in with the red oak, and in the second one, I just used red oak. In either case, you can use any type of hardwood. It has to be dense, tight grain. Wood is the best. Walnut, cherry, maple, anything like that. You want to glue each piece of wood completely. You can use a paintbrush. I used a foam brush, worked very nicely. Or they even make rollers for glue. But you want to spread the glue so that it covers every square inch of each piece of wood. And then start to assemble the wood on top of the pipe clamps in the order that you kind of pre-worked out. You know, take a look at the shades. Even this one, which is all red oak, there are different shades of the wood. Some are slightly darker than others. So you can use this time to kind of organize everything. Once all of the wood is glued, make sure that that last piece that you glue, you don't glue outward. You don't want it to glue onto that scrap piece that's spreading the force of the clamps. Then you're going to start to tighten the pipe clamps. You want to make sure those clamps are nice and snug, but not so tight that they cause the wood to warp or bend outward. One of the things that I like to do is take the middle clamp. I laid out all the wood on the bars so that it would sit straight, but once the outer ones are kind of snug, I take that inner clamp and I move it to the top of the project, and it just exerts pressure so that you'll have a little bit less warping. And on a larger piece, you could do maybe every other one like that. You can see by looking underneath that all of the pieces of wood are sitting firmly on top of the pipe. They've not bowed away. There is a lot of glue that squeezes out of each piece of wood or in between each piece of wood, and you can just wipe off the excess with a damp rag. You don't have to get it all off. We are going to plane this wood. Even though I bought standard size lumber, each piece is slightly different in height, so we do have to always plane these things afterwards. After 24 hours, you can release all the clamps and take out your butcher's block blank. This blank definitely still has to be run through a planer. You could hand plane them and sand them, but if you know anybody that's got an electric planer, it saves a lot of work. If you are going to use an electric planer, make sure that you find out the maximum width before you glue your wood together. The planer that I used had a maximum width of about 12.5 inches. And that would, of course, determine the maximum width of the cutting board. Now, you could go crazy with cutting boards. I mean, take a look online. You could cut these into strips, plane them, flip them around, or even end grain them and re-glue them together, creating a checkerboard pattern. But for today's project, we're just going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to take these two cutting board blanks and we're going to run them through a planer until we get rid of all the glue, until we get rid of all the high and low spots, and all of that wood is planed to one uniform height. This is also a fairly fast process. You do have to run each piece through the planer a few times. And once that's done, you can cut your board either square, rectangular, or into any shape that you like. This one's going to be a fish-shaped cutting board. And then you want to sand the entire cutting board. I'm just using an oscillating sander. You start with coarse and you work your way to the finer sandpaper, round over all the edges, or you could use a router to round over all the edges. And just make sure everything is perfectly smooth the way you want the finished product. Once everything is perfectly smooth, you then have to add a cutting oil. Now, because I'm using poplar and red oak, we definitely want to give this 2 or 3 coats, heavy coats of this butcher's block oil. You want to completely coat the wood, top and bottom, and let it soak in for a good 20 or 30 minutes, and then wipe it off and give it 2 or 3 coats that way. Basically, you want to saturate the cell structure of the wood with this cutting oil so that it cannot then absorb any moisture or water from the food that you're going to be cutting on it. Finished product, you can cut again into any shape. You can get very creative with mixing dark and light hardwoods. Here's the finished fish-shaped cutting board. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Be sure to check out our other how-to videos. And if you like this video, I ask that you please give a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel.